So John, I want to thank you for taking time out today to do the Art of Fearlessly Doing Business interview. Tell everybody who you are and what your business is.
I'm John Meade. I own Azzkikr Customs. It's a custom motorcycle shop in Peoria, Arizona.
And you've just taken over control of this company, correct?
Yes, I've been an employee for Azzkikr for probably the past 2 years, but purchased it roughly about a month ago.
Wow, so we're catching like green, brand new business owner.
Yes, yes.
That's terrific. But before you were here, you worked for Harley Davidson, correct?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about what you did for Harley Davidson.
I did new product technical training. In other words, the new product that was out. I would train all the employees to try to get them up to date, whether it's the Harley techs at the dealership, all the way up to the product engineers that worked at the product development center, about how Harley Davidson motorcycles actually work from beginning to end. What I was amazed by, all these engineers, they are so smart in such a small area.
Yeah.
They were actually clueless as to how the whole process works, as far as a motorcycle goes.
It's amazing how we can get siloed, right? It happens in any company.
Right,
so it's not surprising it should happen in a big company like Harley Davidson, but it makes you a little nervous, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I was shocked. I was very apprehensive when they're like, "Oh, you're going to have to teach the engineers about powertrain." I'm like, "Well, I would assume they would know a lot more than I do," and I was pleasantly surprised that they did not.
Wow.
So they looked at me like I was God all of a sudden. How do you know all this? I'm like, what? I'm thinking to myself, how do you not know all this?
That's really funny.
But they were so focused on one item, they didn't really understand the whole engineering principle, how everything has to work together.
I was just listening to a Tony Robbins interview last week, and there was a general that was talking about the difference between leading kind of prior to globalization and now. And I'll put some information about that in the post that when I post this video.
Right.
But the book is called Team of Teams, and one of the things they talk about is just what you're describing. That leadership is no more like the people at the top are in the know and they tell the worker bees exactly what to do. It's more of a conversation between leadership and the people that are actually using the technology or the products.
Right.
And then once they have the information, then they can make a leadership decision based upon kind of a group effort. You think that's what was going on at Harley?
Absolutely. The more everybody knows, the better everybody's life is going to be. The better product they can actually develop.
Right, and the better decisions you make, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The engineers are worried about the metal alloys of the engine case, not really knowing what the crankshaft is made out of and what it's going to do. They're worried about the heat expansion. In other words, they have very limited amount of, I guess,
exposure.
Exposure to how the whole process works. They're working on one small area.
And they're so smart to bring in someone like you that can
absolutely.
update them, because if not, it could cost them millions of dollars and oopses, right?
Right.
That's awesome.
So anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
That's awesome. So now you came over here, you became an employee, you've been working
Right.
here as a fantastic company. And so
Right.
what gave you the crazy idea to buy it?
I think Lynn was, he's got some personal things going on, and he wasn't sure what he wanted to do with
Lynn's the
company.
former owner.
Right, Lynn is the former owner, Lynn Edmondson. He just knew that he was no longer, I'm not going to say no longer interested in the motorcycle world, but he didn't have time for
He
the
was a little more
motorcycle
distracted than he should be.
world. Right,
Yeah.
the motorcycle business, this is a full-time job, obviously. When I say full-time job, I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, I forgot to order that item. So
Yeah.
you're working 7 days a week in reality. And Lynn, he would come to work and then he would leave and forget all about it until tomorrow.
Well, that can cause problems, right?
It can, and I think he saw that, and Lynn is in a position to where he put up with a lot of issues that I wouldn't put up with.
Yeah. And he's been, how long has Azzkikr been in business?
Since 2006.
Yeah, and he's from Canada originally,
right,
and then
from
moved
Canada.
down here.
Correct.
And so that's smart, actually, of him to know he'd kind of turned a corner in his life and was ready to hand off the reins. And so, still, could have gone to somebody else. Could have bought it. He could have liquidated it. But you decided, hey, I might as well buy it instead of looking for a new job. Or what was your thought process?
That was basically exactly it in a nutshell. I was either going to have to buy it or go find a job.
And write a resume, God forbid.
Whenever you're looking for a job, you get good ones and bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one to... Anytime it seems like I have a job, I stay there until the end. The only reason why I left the motor company is they said I was going to have to move to Milwaukee if I was going to continue working there in my position, and
Winter, not a good idea.
yeah, I don't know. I spent a lot of time. We could pull it up right now. I'm going to say today's weather. I don't know. It's the first part of March. It's probably 30 degrees there.
Right.
There's some snow on the ground.
Yeah.
And it's cloudy.
Yeah.
I know
I'm from
that for a
Vermont,
fact
same kind of
already,
weather.
So,
Yep.
I love Arizona. Every day it's sunny. I could be the weather forecaster here.
So what was the first big fear you kind of had to negotiate? I mean, this is kind of an interesting time to interview you. I'm really excited to get the opportunity because you're kind of like right in this fear. I mean,
Right.
you just made this decision. I mean, you're probably still,
obviously,
you got buyer's remorse. You got, I mean,
it's a financial thing. Basically, me and my wife have put everything we own, every dollar we have saved into this. So really, it has no choice but to work. For the fact we don't have nothing to fall back on. In other words, it's not like, oh, well, this isn't going to work. I'm just going to get rid of it and go do something else.
Yeah, you guys have put it all on the line.
Yeah, we have put it all on the line, so it has to happen.
That's a strong woman right there that's able to do that. Good for you for having one like that.
100%. Every time, whenever I get really apprehensive, she does the old pat on the back. It's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. And how long have you guys been married?
We have been married since 2003.
And you've got several children.
Yes. We got 3 children and 2 grandchildren.
2 grandbabies. It was one of the things I love about family businesses. I came in and the crib is in the showroom, and that's where my crib was when I was a kid. I always joke and say more people in Rutland, Vermont have changed my diaper than I care to admit.
That's funny. That's funny.
That's a really cool thing about having a family business. So, have you had any bumps yet? Have you had any shit?
Man, every day we have a major obstacle to overcome. And I keep telling myself, well, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
That's right.
But it seems like some of the bumps that we've encountered have been, they're not us. It seems like there are other companies that we're working with, and like, how can you run a company that operates like this?
So you can inventory stuff not being the right way, or
it seems like it's more financial institutions than anything, or credit card. Companies or merchant account, all the way down to someone as simple as PayPal.
Yeah. I had a salon back in Vermont where the startup was just excruciating. Getting the credit card, and people don't think about this when they haven't owned a company. Everything that works when you have a blank space. You walked into an empty warehouse.
Right.
No computers, no credit card processing. No, the website needs to be updated. The phones need to be switched. I mean, there's just a huge amount of work that goes into the startup part.
Right.
You guys are in the middle. You guys aren't sleeping right now, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're getting 2 or 3 hours a week.
I am no exaggeration. This morning it was probably 3:30, 4 o'clock. I think is the last time I looked at the clock.
Yeah.
And I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed by 7. So I don't know, was that 2 or 3 hours last night? And it's been that way for the past month.
Yep. And you probably have a good. I just hate to tell you, you already know this. You got a good spot left of long nights.
We do.
You've got some shelving. We just walked through your showroom, your work area, and you've got shelving to change, and you've got you're really in the middle of a setup.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was here this past Sunday until probably 7 o'clock in the evening. I spent most of the day here by myself. I feel like I can get more done back there.
Because the phone's not ringing.
Right, phone's not ringing. Nobody's walking through the door. Nobody wanting a tour of the shop.
Right. So. And were you surprised at how much of a commitment? Because I think a lot of new business owners are kind of like Derek Herndon, who owns Acadia Signorama in Arcadia. He said that he'd wanted to own his own business, but had he known how much the startup effort would be, and they started their business and boom, the recession hit.
Right.
So, do you have any kind of like, oh my God, what did I get myself into feelings? A little bit, honestly.
Yeah, most definitely. I know I've probably said it 10 times. I think we may have made a mistake.
Right.
I think we may have made a mistake doing this, but we have no choice now but to continue on.
Yeah, and I've been there.
The probably thing that I'm most amazed about, though, is the amount of support that we have gotten from customers and friends from all over the country. The motorcycle world is a very close-knit, small industry. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm virtually, no exaggeration, I feel like I'm Facebook friends with every motorcycle shop owner in the country.
Yeah, we're a special crowd.
Yeah, everybody's pretty close-knit. The But we have a lot of good customers.
Yeah.
That are actually asking us for work that I'm not going to say they don't need, but they could have went anywhere else, and they want to pay me to do it. And
well, you've had a relationship with them for 2 years, so
right.
that's saying something about you and your character.
Right.
So good for you.
Right.
So what do you think's like the biggest scary thing moving forward that you're kind of flipping out about? You know, I mean, you got the logistics in the beginning, which is like, holy crap, really? But then what? What's the big thing?
There's still once again, it's all the financial end of it. It's a lot of things that I didn't take into consideration. Putting a sign up on the front of the building is going to cost us an absolute fortune.
Yep.
The sign that we pulled off of the old building, where they said because this building is so much bigger, that sign is going to look like an ant on it. So we need a new sign. You got to get a sign permits. Even to hang a banner here in Peoria, we have to have a sign permit. So we're looking at $5,000 just to get a sign on the front of the building. And we got to have it.
Yeah.
The main reason why we moved into this building is for road frontage off of the 101. I mean, we're right up against the 101. So
it needs to be a certain size
by.
to be able to see it.
Yeah. And I want a sign big enough to where you can see it. I want it to be lit up at night. We hold bike night right down the street. So I think we're in an excellent location, but they have to know we're here.
And you know, you're really smart though to be looking into the sign, because it's a super duper important part of a business in your location especially. And people who don't have signs can't be found.
Right.
So it's really,
you probably had trouble finding me today.
I did. I had trouble finding you today.
There we go.
Because you can. By the way, if you come to Azzkikr, you can't see 9802 from the 91st Street out in front. So it's the building closer to the highway. But John's going to have this fantastic sign up soon, so we don't have to worry about that.
And speaking of that, we're going to put a sign. They're going to let us put a sign out on 91st Avenue. Directing traffic this way.
That was one of the things that amazed me about the last brick and mortar location that I owned, and it was in Vermont. It was just the little regulations that, I went to graduate school. I have a master's in administration, and there's a class you take called entrepreneurship, and I was my father's daughter who owned 6 businesses, right? But it's different when you actually buy the building, and then you have to go to the town hall meeting in Vermont to get permission from everybody and their brother to have your sign be 3 inches higher, or
absolutely.
I mean, there's very specific things about how your lines
color.
on the street are supposed to be, the parking spots, how wide they are, where your handicap spots are, what your bathroom looks like, and you just don't think about that until you find yourself scratching your head at 4 o'clock in the morning going, wow, I really might have to redo my entire bathroom. Really?
Yeah, it's got to be a handicap. The fire marshals give us some pretty big changes that have to be made with the shop itself.
You get to know more about fire code and plumbing and stuff that you just has absolutely nothing to do with motorcycles.
Correct.
Zero. It had nothing to do with haircuts. It had nothing to do with financial investments. It had nothing to do with bicycles. There's so much that goes into running an actual brick and mortar that you're right. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
So I think that's the biggest obstacles we have to overcome, are all the little permits and the little things that go along with this owning this business in this area.
Absolutely. That's how I created my business, is I manage projects like that, because I know there's so many business owners that how can you run your business and actually do that little project that's so time consuming that it ends up sucking up. You spend all your time dealing with regulations, you're not making any money.
Absolutely.
They don't pay you for that stuff. It's amazing. You don't get paid.
And they don't make it easy, in my opinion.
No, they really don't. So I can relate. I totally relate. So what can you tell people about, what you're learning, because you're really right in the thick of it, about being fearless, because you really have to, this is like late night, you wake up and you have to talk yourself out of, holy crap, I made a mistake. What techniques are you using, or what can you tell people about that whole process?
Essentially, we just take one day at a time. We have some really, really good days to where we sell a lot of product. We have some builds coming in. We got good cash flow one day. Everything goes really, really smooth. And the next day is horrible. Seems like all that cash flow that come in is going out to somewhere that
where is it going? I know, right.
Like we were talking about the sign. It's going just to expenses of running the company itself. So we just take one day at a time.
It's a roller coaster ride. Like today's not the good day, tomorrow's going to be different.
Yeah, tomorrow will be better. And I've kind of gotten used to this roller coaster thing of, why did I do this? To where, man, I'm glad we've done this.
Yeah. Or something happens that gets you like totally excited, and you have a high. Like you're bouncing off the walls. Right. You got to call your mom and your sister and your brother and your cousin and your best friend and say, "Guess what just happened? Oh my God!"
That is it.
So I really appreciate you taking the time out. I'm going to be watching to see how everything happens. I'm so excited for you and your wife and for your employees, and this is really an exciting thing. So thanks so much for taking time out during such a busy time to do this interview. It really means a lot to me. Thanks so much.
Well, I'm glad to do it. I feel a lot better now. Had you seen me a half hour before you got here, I was doing the same story. I'm like, why did I tell her I would do this? I really don't have time. I've got to go here, go here, go here. But after speaking with you, I'm really glad that I've taken
it. Probably helped that I rolled up on my Harley, right?
It did.
Thanks so much, John. Have a good day.
Thank you.